Welcome, everybody, to the Down for Maintenance podcast that we do every Saturday. We have not yet done it live, but we will soon, hopefully. Today we have, like usual, our actual host, Hayden, who the killer polar bear.
Hello.
Then we also have John from John Vincible Gaming.
Hello.
And then we also have a special guest, which you two listeners out there who are listening to our podcast in iTunes. um, he is an amazing man. He has a podcast on every Sunday. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna let him introduce himself. Rob, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rob. How are you?
You're good.
The show I do every Sunday night is Orange Lounge Radio, orangeloungeradio.com, live on the Voice of Geeks Network, vognetwork.com. And then I have a second show. If you like World of Warcraft, you can check out the Best Little Horde House in Azeroth, which is on Wednesdays on Vog Network. I love podcasts.
I think Rob, you just want to take over our podcast. You can have more than two. You can just have three.
I've got plenty. I think you guys got it handled here just fine. I think, yeah, two's enough for me for now.
I know, right? But we're gonna start out the show like we usually do, and we're gonna actually tell everybody what we've been playing in the last week. And Rob, would you like to go first since you're our guest?
Sure. Okay. I'm hoping there's no right or wrong way to do this, but
no, not at all.
I'll talk a little bit about what I've been playing this week. I have been playing a little bit of World of Warcraft because I play that a lot. I like my MMOs, and I'm doing research for the other show, is what I like to say. I'm doing research. It's research. On the console front, I've been playing a little bit of Forza Horizon. I got into that game about a week and a half ago. It's something that some of my associates on Vog Network were basically, I don't want to say they were bullying me into it, but they were like, Rob, you need to play this or we're going to shoot you. So I got Forza Horizon from the rental service, and I really enjoy it. I think I'm going to hang on to it, keep it, because I like the arcade style racers. I've always loved F-Zero. It's really ticked me off. They've never done another one for the Nintendo systems, in 10 years, I think was the GameCube one. And I never really was into the Forza series before because I have a hard time getting into the very realistic racing sims like Gran Turismo, the original Forzas. They're all a little too tough for me. I like my arcade, racing games to be really over the top, like Mario Kart or Burnout was one of my favorites with all the huge wrecks and all that. But Forza Horizon is kind of that right mix of arcade style, but not over the top. And what I really like about Forza is that it's got different types of scaling difficulty in it, so that if you're a complete noob moron to racing games, that's totally fine. You can get the same experience out of it as somebody who's like, don't give me this automated braking thing, don't give me this line that tells me where to go, turn off the GPS, make the computer opponents really hard. You guys basically get the same experience and the same story. The only difference is the amount of credits that you'll earn as a reward, which you in turn use to buy the better cars and the upgrades and so forth. So the person who's taking the easy road will have a slower time, but sometimes it's not necessarily about collecting everything, but it's about how you get there. I've been playing some games online on Forza 2. They have the multiplayer and the single player modes integrated a little bit, where if you do well on the multiplayer modes, you get credits that you can in turn take over to single player and get more cars and things like that. So yeah, I've been digging Forza Horizon. I thought it was very well done. And even though it was a little weird in the beginning. When I first turned it on, it's like, we're going to a rave out in the middle of Colorado and there's fast cars and we're all spoiled brats. We're going to be crashing daddy's car. But you get over that pretty quick, and I thought it was actually kind of awesome. And the soundtrack's pretty good. One of the in-game stations is almost exactly like one of the radio stations here locally, so it's actually kind of weird. It's like in my real car I hear this music, and in my fake car I hear this music. Otherwise on Xbox, I've been going back to some older games, and when I say older, I mean really random old stuff. We do a segment on OLR called the Classic Game of the Week every week, where our female host, Dark Sakura, Jamie, she talks about a classic game from the 80s or 90s, something that we forgot about. And the game she picked last week was Gyruss, which was one of my favorite 80s shooters growing up. I had a Commodore 64. That was my first gaming console. Wasn't a Nintendo or anything like that. It was a Commodore 64 because it was a gaming console. You could hook it up to a TV. And I played so much Gyrus. I love that game. So when she brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, I bought that on Xbox Live like 4 years ago. When was the last time I actually played it? And it turns out, I don't know about you guys, but if you've been a longtime Xbox owner, like, if you've had it since, the first year it came out, there were so many retro arcade games that came out in the beginning for like $5-10. And I had a problem. I bought them all. I have like over 100 Xbox Live Arcade games.
Oh my gosh.
I know, I know. My poor wallet. Let's have a moment of silence for my broke ass. But I've been going back and playing some of the retro classics just because, hey, I bought them and I didn't have all the achievements. And I'm like, maybe I'll make a New Year's resolution to like get more achievements because my achievement score is kind of pitiful. So I need to go back and get something out of these old games. So yeah, I started playing stuff like Gyrus and Pac-Man and yes, Pac-Man. Not Championship Edition or Championship Edition Turbo, which are great games, but I'm talking like old school Waka 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 Pac-Man.
Oh wow.
Achievement in Pac-Man. So that was my Xbox week. And then I guess the only other game that I've really been playing is, speaking of Xbox, it's Microsoft's kind of their first iPhone game, iOS game with achievements, which I know is weird because Microsoft has their own set of phones. And I do believe this game is on Windows Phone 8 as well. It might be on Android. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But the game's called Wordament, and it's just Boggle. I think we've all seen this word game before. It's Boggle. Find the words in the in the square, but it has Xbox Live achievements and it's free. So if you want to, it only has 50 achievement points possible, which is interesting because Xbox Live arcade games, they all have 400 now. It used to be 200. The on-disc games have 1,000 before you factor in DLC. So now it looks like Microsoft's exploring this whole, we're going to release official Xbox Live mobile phone games that have 50 achievement points possible. And the ones in Wordament are pretty easy to get. And the game's not bad. I mean, as far as like Boggle clones go, I'm going to like take it way back here, but I don't know if you guys remember this company way back in like probably the late 90s. It was called Berkeley Systems. And they put out these online game shows called, the biggest one I remember was Acrophobia. I don't know if you guys ever played that. It was like a word game that you would go into these rooms and everybody's playing the same game at once. And, you're all like voting on the best answers and so forth. Wordament kind of invokes that a little bit for me because in Wordament, yes, you're playing Boggle, but you're playing the same game as like 2,000 other people on their mobile phones all at once. So when the round's over, you see how your score compares to everybody else's score. So you can see just how dumb you really are compared to everybody else. And especially because it shows like what country they're all from. So you want to bet how many from the top 15 every round are from the U.S.?
Yeah.
Sad. But, it's because they have more U's on the board, so the British do better. But yeah, for the great price of free, it's worth checking out. And as a random ass aside, I was on Twitter, and you guys are an explicit show, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I was playing on Wordament, and I was joking around. I tried to spell shit because I saw it on the board, and it wouldn't give me credit for it. I'm like, what the fuck's a word? So I took a screen cap of it, and I put, Wordament, what's up? I don't get credit for this word. This is bull. They replied to me. The actual Wordament Twitter replied to me and said, what did they say? They were like, well, next time try crap. But yes, that is not a word. And, I just thought that was awesome that they have like that. Because I didn't even like actually do the little at their account. Like they must be searching to see who says Wordament on Twitter. And they must have seen that tweet somehow and like actually proactively was like, don't be mad just because the game won't let you swear. And that made me laugh. That was great. So yeah, I just for that reason, I recommend Wordament alone because free is a great price. So
free 99.
Yeah, for free 99. That's my week pretty much. Not a lot of PlayStation this week or Wii U, sadly.
Well, I will go next, and I will take that Wii U from you, Rob, because as a lot of people know who have listened to our podcast, and both Hayden and John know, I was fortunate enough to win a Wii U in a raffle, which was amazing, and I have been playing the shit out of that thing. And I at first, and I called into Orange Lounge Radio a while ago, and kind of, I was very, it was your show, Rob, where you guys were talking about how how some people were anticipating this Wii U coming out, but then a lot of people were kind of just going, I just don't even know if I want to buy it. And I was kind of in that boat, and I called into your show, and I was talking about it and stuff, and I was on the fence about it. But if I were to go back now and say, or go back to my past self and say to them, I'd be like, you need to buy this console because I wouldn't call it revolutionary, but I would call it in the sense. And here's an example. My wife the other day, I was playing New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and my wife the other day was like, "Oh, hey, I want to watch Netflix." So I'm like, "Okay, well that's fine."
What it sounds like? That's kind of
Yeah, no, and I'm like, oh, you know what I can do with the Wii U? I could just switch it to the tablet and I'll continue playing. And that whole aspect of it was it's just amazing to me. Now there's some games where you can't do it. Probably the best game that I like is the third party Zombie U, which you can't do that because it all integrates into everything, but then I also picked up Nintendo Land, and I'm having a blast with that. My wife's having a blast with that. We played it over to at my parents' house last night, and a whole bunch of people got in on it, and we were just playing Mario Chase, and it was so much fun.
that's when it lands at its best, is the party thing.
Oh yeah,
LOL, Nintendo, the Wii is just basically a party game machine. But really, the Wii U, like, it really shines as a party game machine. And right now, it's got some decent single player stuff. The Mario game's great, Zombie U's great.
oh yeah, and I've been having a whole lot of fun with that. And just been playing the crap out of Mario Wii U, which is I mean, it's a Mario game, so you can't hate it. But and then I haven't really been playing the 360 a whole lot. I threw in some Black Ops 2 the other day. This is this is Loki's territory, I guess you would say. But threw that in and played that for a little while. Been playing a whole lot of Halo 4 campaign. And other than that, I think that's about it. I don't really get to play a whole lot of video games just because I have a daughter, she's 8 months old, so I'm not always on the console or anything like that. But that's another way where the Wii U shines is because I can have my daughter in my arms and play, Mario at the same time, which, it's I don't have to look at a TV, so that's pretty awesome. So, but yeah, that's all I've been doing. And and I'm drinking a Miller Lite, John. What are you drinking? Nothing, because you just woke up. Go ahead.
I'm drinking a Diet Pepsi.
I want to ask you a question about Wii U because you said you won the Wii U in a raffle, and like that doesn't happen.
No, it
People
doesn't.
win consoles.
I never win anything either, Rob. It's ridiculous. I literally almost fainted.
Do you think maybe your perspective's a little bit skewed? I mean, just an honest question. Do you think your perspective might be skewed a little bit on the system? I still think it's a great system, and I did plunk down the money for it. But do you think maybe the whole, like, I didn't have to pay for this shit, do you think that might skew your opinion a little bit, that you didn't plunk down the $400 on it?
Well, I will tell you that now that I have played it, and I played it a little bit in different electronic stores here and there, but now that I've really gotten my hands onto it and played a good deal of it, if I didn't have one now, I think that I would buy one because I'm kind of like a lot of people are. I'm a ridiculous consumer whore. I will buy anything, and usually when it comes down to it, I probably would have bought it. But getting it, winning it in a raffle, yes, I will agree with you. It probably does skew my view on the whole aspect of it.
All right, that's fair. That's a fair answer. I had to ask.
I'm having a good time with it though, Rob. Let me tell you what. I really, really, I appreciate this console. I don't know what like. I don't know. It's fun.
Have you been exploring Miiverse? I think I called this, I don't know if it was on OLR, the other show, because sometimes we delve into regular gaming on Horde House too, but I said Miiverse is like Nintendo's biggest idiot savant thing ever, is that, I don't think they anticipated or what Miiverse was really going to become, but it's one of the most hilarious social network things and just like thing that I keep going back to look at. I would have never guessed a Nintendo Online thing would suck me in that much. But it's just the community on there is hilarious. Like, have you been looking at some of the Miiverse boards and the drawing and things like that?
Telling you what, some of those drawings are ridiculous. I don't understand how these people sit down and draw these drawings. I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff that people come up with.
You've got to go look at the forums for the shovelware games. Like there's something about like 30 pack-in games with Happy the Bear or something. I don't even know what it's called. And it's like this little bear icon. So all the Miiverse is all these little like pictures of Pedo Bear and like it's wrong things. It's like it's amazing what's not being censored on there. It cracks me up.
Well, yeah, because it's Nintendo. I mean, you would think they would, but they're also not Microsoft. So, yeah, Microsoft censors everything, even your gamer tag. So, you can't have certain things in your gamer tag. But, well, okay, well, that's what I've been playing. So, John or Hayden, either one can go next.
I'll go if you want me to.
Go for it, Hayden. All for-
I haven't been playing a lot of games this week. I picked up the DLC for Skyrim over Christmas break, and I've been putting in a ton of hours on Skyrim. I've almost beat the main quest again. I've done both the DLC quests, I've done the Companions Guild, and I've started the Thieves Guild, and I'm doing that. And then other than that, I've been playing Dishonored, which is a lot of fun. But that's basically all my games I've been playing this week.
Sounds good. John,
Yes.
Are you asleep?
So no, just listening. So it's been the Steam sale the past couple weeks, as most people know, and I've been picking up some games for cheap, and a lot of them are older, things I haven't, ever gotten around to playing. But the past 2 weeks, actually less than 2 weeks, the past week probably, I beat Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and those are probably some of the best third-person action games I've ever played. They're just insanely fun. My Steam rating is level 10. I didn't even know this was a thing, but it means I played more than like 30 something hours in a week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it says, I'm looking at my stats now. It says Arkham Asylum. I don't know. Did you guys play those games at all, or?
I did. I played it, both of them.
Arkham Asylum's, Arkham City especially is great. Arkham City's great.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I bought them both on the same day, and I played them in that order because I heard City was just everything Asylum is and more. So I didn't want to have to go back to Asylum and not like it as much. But I think I put like 16 hours into that, and I beat it. I got all the Riddler trophies. I didn't do the challenge levels because I wasn't really interested in those. But then I got to City, and they just improved the combat system. They deepened it over the first game. So I wound up doing the challenges. I have 44 hours logged in probably the past week for Arkham City, and I'm still going. It's a super, super fun game. Besides that, I picked up some other stuff. I just haven't gotten around to playing any of it on Steam yet. Yeah, that's it.
I actually wanted to mention another game that I was playing, actually on the Wii, not the Wii U, but the Wii. I mentioned this game. Oh, what was it last? I think it was last podcast. It's actually a shooter. It's been around for a while, I think, and I'm gonna totally just butcher this name probably because I believe it is a Japanese title, but Castle Shimogami, I believe. I'm probably butchering it. I don't know. But have you heard of that, Rob?
I've heard of like Shimigami Tensei and other that. No, I have not heard of this particular game that you're talking about.
It's absolutely it's an amazing shooter. It's oh God, who is it made by? I'm gonna have to look this up now. I'm not inside. My man cave, if it were, is out in the garage, so that's where I record everything. So I don't have any of my games out here. Let's see here. A man cave. Sounds so pretentious. All right, let's see. Look this up. But yeah, it's an amazing shooter. Horrible voice acting, obviously, because they, everything is done in Japanese, and then they switch it over to English. So I mean, it's just some funny dialogue. But let's see if we can look it up here. I'm not even gonna spell this.
It's okay. Is it Castle of Shikigami 3?
There we go. Yeah. There we go.
The powers of Wikipedia. I searched that out real quick. Yeah, it's on the Wii. It looks like it's also on the Xbox 360, Windows, and in the arcade in Japan, but it's only on the Wii in North America. Came out in 2008.
There we go. And as you can see from the screenshots, I mean, it is just wicked. I mean, it gets so. I have yet to beat it to date. Just because I've always loved shooters and I've always played shooters, but I don't know if I'm just like the best at them. I'm probably not, but like it's just, I mean, this game is it's really fun to play with a friend because it's 2 player also. So you can play it with a friend, and so it just gets, I mean, it just gets wicked. I mean, it gets crazy. But yeah, I've been playing that too. So that's a pretty fun game. If you haven't played it, Rob, you probably would enjoy it.
How did you get this? Is it a download title, or is it something you found in like a bargain bin somewhere, or?
Actually, a friend of mine that I went to college with, he had a copy, and I played it over his house. And
Mm.
he actually recently, well, not recently, I guess a couple of years ago, moved to New York. Well, the last time we played it, well, we played it over at my house, so he left it over my house and never gotten it since. So I just kind of just
Keepers.
yeah, well, exactly. I mean, if you leave it over my house, it's mine, right? I don't.
That's right. Awesome. Well, I have no idea where I would find this, but maybe I can. I'll see if maybe GameFly's got it or something. Be an easy way to at least be able to play it.
I want to say it was really difficult for him to find, but he eventually found it.
I can imagine. I wonder if it's even on Amazon.
I
It's
don't
not
know.
on Amazon. It don't exist. I'm pretty convinced.
I know, right?
Not to endorse anything for free, but let's be real.
Oh, wait. Oh my gosh. They have 20 new, well, it says 20 new, for $31.95.
That seems for a Wii game. That seems kind of expensive. I'm looking more at the $6.99 used. That's my language right
There
there.
you go. Yeah, oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, and this company, this developer, I've never heard of. Have you ever heard of them?
Axis, yes. They I think they do a lot of ports of kind of obscure Japanese titles over here. I'm trying to see what else they've put out a little more recently. Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue.
Blaze
that's
Blue.
what they published here.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think they tend to Arcana Heart 3. Yeah, I think they kind of tend to do some of these niche titles. A lot of like Arc System Works games. It looks like they put out over here. They did a lot more on the Wii. I didn't even know there was a Super Dodgeball on the Wii. What the heck?
I think there's a lot of things on the Wii that you don't know are on there just because you don't want to play them on the Wii.
Dude, that was like one of my favorite NES games, and like those Neo Geo cabinets they used to have in the arcade, like at the pizzeria,
Yeah.
Some like Fatal Fury and all that stuff. Some of them had this dodgeball game in it, Super Dodgeball. That's awesome. I did not even know that was on the Wii. I need to pay attention to the Wii more.
The more you know. Okay. Well, I think after that little tangent, which was a good tangent because we taught Rob something, hopefully. We'll go on to some news stories. Anybody got any news stories? I have one queued up if you want me to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So not PlayStation actually, but Sony is actually in the market making their own multi-channel cable service. You guys heard about that?
No.
Sony, no.
Yeah. Now it's rumored, so I don't know if it's actually going to happen. But one of their CEOs, I guess, leaked some information talking about how it will be a kind of like a service like Netflix, Hulu, or HBO Go. So they're basically wanting to compete with those people, which that's a lot to compete with if you think about it. But it looks like they're gonna have like I don't know, cloud, like they're gonna have like cloud gaming, obviously, which they already kind of do, I guess you would. I mean, with the cloud on PlayStation Plus, but just stuff like that. It's a tiny story and it's rumored, but if they were to come out with a multi-channel TV service, would anybody be interested in that?
I guess it would have to, depend on what the content is, because like you said, Netflix, Hulu, HBO, all these other things already provide so much. I don't know what Sony would be offering specifically that would be enticing, but I don't know.
Sorry, I was just the only original Sony content I can think of that they produced was The Tester. And if that's a sign of what is going to be on Sony TV, I don't know. But if they can license other content, it could be very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm always interested in these new things. I at least want to check them out. Doesn't mean I'll actually subscribe, but it's always interesting when a new competitor enters the space,
Well, and I think because I think the Wii U is kind of doing this, but in a different way. Basically have Nintendo TV with two eyes at the end, and that's smart. With basically turning your Wii U into a cable box. So I'm wondering if Sony kind of wants to go down that road and be like, okay, we want to turn our PlayStation 3s into cable boxes now, so you don't have to have a cable box, you know? And so I don't know if that's the road they're going by, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of looking like it's going to be their own service, and I don't know. I just kind of a little shady to me. I don't.
What
Well-
does the Nintendo service offer?
Well, it's and Rob can probably back me up a little bit on this because he's probably explored it a little bit. But I explored it a little bit, and basically what it is it's using your Wii U as a cable box. So the already paid for cable that you have, you can stream through your Wii U, so you don't need a cable box. I guess. I mean,
Oh.
I don't know.
Well, kinda. I think you can patch it through your Wii U. I'm not sure all of that is necessarily out yet, but the little gamepad, the Wii U gamepad, actually has an infrared little thing on it. When you first set up your Wii U, you tell it what kind of TV you have, you tell it what kind of cable box you have. So basically, you just bought not only a Wii U, you bought a brand new universal remote because that's that thing does. And TV. What's important to note about TV, it doesn't just filter the cable content, but it's also showing you everything that's available on Amazon Prime. It's showing you everything that's available on, I think, Hulu, and not Netflix yet, but they say that's going to be patched in the next, next couple months or so. So right now, what you can do is that, you say, let's say I have a favorite TV show. My favorite TV show happens to be, I don't know, RuPaul's Drag Race. Okay. So I bring up RuPaul's Drag Race and it tells me that, oh, this show is airing right now on Logo. And you can hit the little button and it's going to switch your TV right now to that channel. Or it'll say, oh, it's not on right now, it's coming up in 6 hours, but press this button and you can order it through Amazon Prime right now. So it's like kind of like a universal place where it shows you like, you want such and such TV show, here's all the places you can get it. It's either live on TV right now, or it's coming up in an hour, or you can buy it on Amazon or what have you. And it flips right. I imagine if I hit the Amazon Prime button, it's just going to bring up Amazon Prime, and there I go. I can watch that. And it does it for movies as well. But where I find that the TV thing shines is sporting events, which is very interesting. Like, if you say, let's say you follow a sports team, like, let's say I follow the Sacramento Kings, unfortunately. I'm a fan of them. I really like losing, you guys. So let's say I follow the Sacramento Kings, and I can hit a little button. It's going to take me to their schedule, and it says, oh, there's a Kings game on in 20 minutes. So I can hit the button, go to the channel, and while the game's going and I'm watching it on my TV, what's going to happen on my gamepad, it's actually going to show me so-and-so just got a 3-point shot from this part of the court, and it shows a little dot where they did that. You can actually chat and like those interactions just like it's Miiverse. So suddenly these sporting events have become these big, it's kind of something not a lot of people are talking about because I'm not sure people know it's there, but now these sporting events have become like everybody participates. And I think they want to do that type of stuff with, like, I don't know, the Oscars or other types of shows. But they contracted with some sporting broadcast service to do that. I don't know the name of it. You'll have to excuse me. But this service was already doing these types of like broadcasts while the games are going on. So that's really where the gamepad now shines, is that, hey, I'm watching, and it works for football. It works for baseball, I think, all the sports that we like here in America. You can have it on the TV and kind of follow along on the gamepad. So
Wow.
TV's neat. It's neat where it's going, and it's it's all part of the system right now. But that's where gaming's going, and that's where Sony fits into this, and all the rumors we've heard about Xbox and what they're doing for their content service and all that is that we're not looking at the next round of gaming consoles being just strictly gaming consoles. They want to be that universal box in your room for everything. So It makes sense that Sony wants to replace your cable box. Sony wants to compete with Comcast for those people that want to do the pay-per-view movies. Do you want to get your movies through on demand, or you want to get them through the PlayStation 3? If Sony can do everything your cable box can do and kind of bump it to the dusty back part of your shelf, then that's going to make Sony money in the long run. That's what these companies want. They all want a piece of the entertainment, not just games, but movies, sports, award shows, music events, everything.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Yeah.
That the sports integration with the Wii U tablet sounds kind of like what Xbox is doing with the Smart Glass.
Kinda, a little bit. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think we've really seen Smart Glass fleshed out yet. I think we got a really weak implementation in November because I think they rushed it because there's only, a couple games that use it. Halo 4, pretty cool little stat machine integration there.
That is pretty cool.
That's a standalone app too. You don't even need Smart Glass for it. You can just have that at any time. So it's it's kind of a ruse a little bit. It's not really integrating with the Xbox, I think, at its full potential yet. But there's potential there. But I'm not sure it's going to be capable of that same type of power that the Wii U is. But I think that type of sports integration that I was talking about, I think that would totally be possible through Smart Glass. And that would be neat to see happen there too.
Wow. Yeah, no, that it would be neat. I mean, and I do agree with what you're saying is everybody just wants a piece of everything. I mean, especially with gaming becoming so advanced as it is already, and not to mention what we have in the future with the next gen consoles. I don't know. I mean, it's getting kind of crazy. Obviously, I mean, a lot of it. I mean, because you see it all the time with Blockbuster going under, with all these places, just trying so hard to just hold on to their business because streaming is taking over, and all the stuff that makes convenience. What makes us America? You know what I'm saying? Like, makes us America. It makes convenience. And
I was just going to say something to keep your eye on over the next week, even though it might not be gaming so much, but Consumer Electronics Show starts this week.
Yes, it does.
Yes, so Microsoft does it. They're not going to do keynotes anymore, and none of these companies are going to really probably show much in gaming. It's very rare you get gaming announcements. I think a couple years ago, Game Room for Xbox was announced at Consumer Electronics Show. You get little tidbits once in a while, but keep an eye on what is it that Sony and Nintendo. Sony and Microsoft, because Nintendo won't be there, but Sony and Microsoft, what is it that they focus on during Consumer Electronics Show? That's going to give you an idea where they might go for E3. They might be starting to lay down some little breadcrumbs. Xbox is already teasing on Major Nelson's page. We got a big announcement at E3. Here's the countdown to E3. So we all know it's whatever Microsoft's got next. Maybe there's going to be some little breadcrumb hints at Consumer Electronics Show. So keep an eye out.
That'll be interesting. Can't wait. I watch that every year, so we can't miss that. But yeah. So does anybody else have any news? Come on now. I know you got some news.
Well, after that topic, I don't want to do mine, but so all I was gonna say was that Rockstar has announced that the box art reveal for Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming this month. And not that that's really big news. I just think it's so funny that Rockstar announces announcements. And in November, they announced that the second GTA 5 trailer was coming. And of every company, like, they're just so good at building hype. Like, I am making fun of this story, but I can't wait to see what that box art looks like. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't wait for that second trailer. I was like, oh my God, a new trailer's coming. I'll be there right when it, gets uploaded. But we've talked about this on the podcast before. Like, I can't wait for GTA 5. Hayden's looking forward to it as well. I don't think Cody knows what to think. Do you play the Grand Theft Auto games, Rob?
Lightly. I am not nearly as into them as Loki, one of my co-hosts on Orange Lounge Radio, is. He's crazy into multiplayer. I think he's in the top 100 on Xbox Live right now for Grand Theft Auto 4. Yeah, I mean, him and his coworkers are all like crazy about it. So I'm nowhere near that level, but I get laughs out of him. I'm one of those people. I don't even like to follow the story. I just like to go kill hoes like that. Let's go kill hoes. That's what we do.
I thought that's what the game was built for. Is that not what it's built for?
Yes, it's Xbox gaming at its finest.
I told you guys I replayed GTA 4 a couple weeks ago, and there was a point in the game where I, got sidetracked, and I went and picked up a hoe, and I got my health replenished from her, we shall say. And then we were like behind the docks or something, and then I let her out of the car, and then I ran her over and picked up the little green money that popped out of her body.
God.
And then I was just looking
classic
at the scene.
GTA. Classic.
Yeah, I was looking at the scene. Her body's like illuminated by the headlights from the car, and I'm like, what have I done? Like, I actually had a small moral crisis for like 5 seconds, but I felt
that's probably a good thing. That's probably a good thing.
If you're
Like,
not
even though
killing
it's-
hoes in GTA, you're playing it wrong. Is that?
Yeah. But it was just like because the physics in that game, like it's not the prettiest looking game by any means, right? They never are. But at least for an open world game, they look pretty good. And the way the physics react when like even when you hit a dead body like on the ground, it's really lifelike sometimes. And I said, small moral crisis.
Since you guys like Grand Theft Auto, have you played Saints Row the Third?
Yes.
Oh man,
What did we talk about last time, John?
Oh, what did we? What the
when I
purple
introduced
dildo
you
bat?
when I introduced you to the purple dildo bat.
Oh yeah, you sent me pictures of I guess collector's editions.
Yeah,
purple
you could.
dildo
I don't know
bats
if it was
each
in
of them.
America though. Rob, do you know if it
Oh.
was in America?
What was in America?
The purple dildo bat that they like.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It was. It was in there.
Hmm.
I may have wielded it once or twice for the lulz, but I have not. I mean, talk about like sandbox games that are moral dilemmas. I'll tell you what, with as over the top as that game is, I have not laughed as hard in my life as I did in the opening sequences of that game, where they're doing the skydiving and she lets go with the one, you motherfucker, while she's falling down. It's so over the top, and I oh my god, if you didn't get that during the THQ Humble Bundle, I don't know what to tell you, because
That's where I got it.
Nice. Good
Yeah,
score.
that was. I mean, what I love about Rockstar is they create worlds. Like you really feel like you're part of a game world in a Rockstar game. Whereas the Saints Row games, I've only played the first and the third one, but the gameplay is always excellent. You don't really feel like you're in a living, breathing world though. It's more like you're a character running around, which is fine for what it is. I think Saints Row 3 was more fun than GTA 4. I'll say that much. I think like as game designers, they have a really polished product. It's just a lot sillier.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 4 is kind of your like gritty experience and the dramas and all that, with a little bit of the over topness too. But if you like actually get into the story, it's that. But Saints Row gives no fucks about the fact that it's just total parody and just it's hilarious.
Yeah, I've seen more dildos in Saints Row than I've seen in my entire life. So
Oh man. Well, no, yeah. I would like to say that, but no, I'm just joking.
Is that a
you
challenge?
go, man.
Is that a challenge? Hayden, are you
Yes.
still alive?
Yes, I am.
Do you have any news stories?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
So you've all heard of the Ouya the new Android-powered game console?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a new one that has just barely hit Kickstarter, and it's called the Game Stick. And what it is it's a little tiny game console that's about the size of a thumb drive that plugs directly into your TV via the HDMI slot.
Whoa.
And what's different about this one is that instead of being kind of like a shelf-top game console, it's going for like a portability thing where you can take it around to different places because it's so small. And I just thought it was interesting that there's actually this new game console that's coming out, because it seems like a lot of people are trying to make the smaller Android-powered game consoles because it's a better platform. It can be open source and anybody can make games for it. So I thought that was kind of cool that there's this new one that's really small, and it's supposed to only be about $70 when it comes out. So pretty cheap.
Wow. That's a cheap price point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I read I don't know if it said this in your article, but it said that it like right now it has support for 200 games on the
Mhm.
marketplace, and that didn't seem like a whole lot.
Yeah. But you can
Especially
Sorry, go ahead.
especially because a lot of, I don't know if you guys have Android phones, but a lot of the stuff on Google Marketplace, like there's a lot of terrible apps on there,
Mm-hmm.
like really bad. Like even some of like you go to like top free. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's no different on iOS, just so you know. Like
Yeah.
there's bull crap on there too.
Okay, because it's been a while since I've had an iPhone, but having my Android phone the past couple years, I haven't seen like this low of quality apps ever from anywhere. But I mean, there's good stuff on there too. Mostly the paid stuff. I guess it's just harder to find free stuff, for me at least on the marketplace. But no, it's a cool concept for sure. I saw it. It looks really slick too, like whatever prototype they had mocked up.
Mm-hmm.
Now I did see this not talking about the game stick, but when you mentioned how do you pronounce Ouya?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, is that the probably? Well, hey, if they have the Kool-Aid Man as the main guy to introduce the thing every time, then that would be amazing.
Not
And
not to be the prophet on all things gaming, but I believe the pronunciation is Ouya.
Ouya. Okay, there we go. Okay. Well, I saw I believe it's a prototype. I don't really know if it's actually the way it's going to look. And it looked a little like the console itself looked kind of futuristic. It looks like a box. I mean, a literal box. And then the controller looked really really cheap. Like it was like I don't know, but I do believe that this was a wasn't this was a Kickstarter, wasn't it?
Yes. It was.
Okay. So I don't know. It could it could take off, it could bomb, I don't know. It's the whole thing of you hands on. You have to have hands on. If you don't have hands on, no one's going to know how it plays. So, I mean, we just have to wait for it to come out. But until then, we won't know, I guess.
I'm honestly surprised it took this long because the Ouya, let's not forget, not only was it a Kickstarter, it was the Kickstarter. That thing raised, I think, $9 million on Kickstarter. And, it was only a matter of time before, Frau Farbisma sitting there in the chair, send in the clowns! So this is what that is, basically. I'm surprised it took this long before. I'm sure there's probably other little Kickstarters as well. I'm not saying this is a knockoff of the Ouya, but let's be real. When Ouya makes $9 million, I believe more than any other Kickstarter. I mean, maybe there might have been a couple others that made more, but maybe not in the gaming realm. Everybody wants a piece of that. I mean, that's why you see so many people fleeing to Kickstarter right now. It's like they just handed out money over on Kickstarter. Everybody.
It's true.
Just all these, things that, and of course, I see knockoffs of successful projects. That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also to talk about because our podcast is not only video games, it's also entertainment in general with movies, and I have a pretty interesting story here. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but for all you Apple fans out there, obviously like we all know, last year we lost one of the creators of Apple in general, Steve Jobs, and they are set to produce a bio type movie on Steve Jobs. It's going to be called Jobs, just Jobs, and basically it talks from 1971 to 2000, his life, and the way that he lived and the way that Apple grew and everything like that. And I'm gonna link this picture. Wait, I'm gonna link this picture.
Okay.
And I want you to see the actor who's gonna be playing Steve Jobs.
I already know.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you already know?
I already know as well.
I do.
Okay,
I don't. So it'll surprise me. Oh, Jesus Christ. I just saw the name. Need to look at the picture. Hell with that.
Oh, the picture
Only
actually
2000? Because
Do
that's
what?
weird to me. They're only doing the 70s to 2000 because I think 2000 was around the time he got tossed from Apple. If they're only doing up to 2000, that means they're leaving out all the iPhone stuff. This is really going to focus on the early years.
Oh yeah, no, and I think they really want. Oh yeah, I think they really want to focus on how he got back into and then they're just gonna quit it. Like I think they want to people to know like how he became this person in Apple and how he got thrown out but then got thrown back in and then like all this other stuff that happened within there. But it says that it's due to release in April 2013, so it's close.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not really an effects-driven movie, right? So
Yeah.
No,
you could probably shoot and cut it pretty quick.
Oh yeah.
But so it ends in the 2000s or
Yeah,
the year
no,
2000?
it says 1971 to 2000. So
Because wasn't his like big reentry the iMac? Wasn't that one of the things that got him back in?
I believe so. Yes.
And when was that? I was in high school then, and I actually no, it would have been right around that time because it was in junior high. I was in junior high when the iMac came out.
It was not the iMac Mac though. I don't think that's what it was called. I think.
I'm thinking of the one that it looked like a CRT monitor, but it came in like plastic colors.
Yeah, that was an iMac.
Okay, Wikipedia. Thank you, Wiki. He came back to Apple in '96. That's when Apple bought Next. That was the company that Steve Jobs went to when he was tossed from Apple the first time. And '98 was when he killed a bunch of the Apple projects like the Newton and all that stuff. And then 2000, that was the big year where he became the permanent CEO again and not the interim CEO. So I think that what's somebody said earlier is probably the case, where it's going to focus on, him getting tossed out, but then coming right back and taking it over, and the rest was history. I don't think they're going to get into iPod or any of that stuff, but the IMAX are certainly a possibility. I think that was like 98, 99.
Well, and let's not forget about Pixar either. I mean, that was a huge legacy of Steve Jobs as well. So I'm surprised they're not going to focus anything on that.
That is interesting. Yeah, Pixar I don't think was till later. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then another movie, they released another Red Band trailer for The Evil Dead. Well, every single website I've seen it on says something in the lines of "New Evil Dead trailer will freak you out." I don't understand what that meant, but I did watch the Red Band trailer. I don't know if anybody has seen or even seen any of the trailers for the new Evil Dead, but it is literally going to be the grossest movie I've ever seen in my life, probably. Because
I like the tagline, the most terrifying film you will ever experience.
I think that's been a tagline for a couple of horror movies in the past.
Every horror movie.
Oh, but this one means it, man.
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier, Cody. I haven't seen the newest trailer. I saw the teaser a couple months ago, and she's like cutting her tongue and cutting her cheek and stuff. It's pretty gruesome.
That's pretty gross. And just looking back, and I think a lot of people with Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, like all those movies, you watch those now and you're like, man, these are cheesy as hell, because Bruce Campbell, obviously, I mean, he's hilarious in any movie that he's in, really. But when you take it to this, they're showing a more gritty, I think, depiction of this movie, whereas the first one wasn't like that. It was very, but back in that time, it could have been gritty, So I don't know. I saw it. Oh, I want to say I saw it when I was maybe 16, 15, something like that. So, it was even cheesier then. So I don't know. I watched it a while back, probably about a couple weeks ago, and it was still cheesy. But it's Bruce Campbell, and I think about the only thing we see Bruce Campbell in now is that show on, I don't even know what it's called. Burn Notice. And he's on. I don't even think I've seen him in anything else, really. So,
This
but yeah,
trailer is terrible.
I know it's horrible.
I heard that Sam Raimi's original Evil Dead was supposed to be like an actual scary horror film, but it came across more as camp. And so when he did Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, he just went straight camp with it, and that's kind of what the series is known for now. So I guess in this reimagining, I wasn't sure which direction they were going to take it, like funny comedy horror Evil Dead, or like you were saying, nitty gritty. And it looks like they're obviously going the gritty route. I think gritty is too light of a word. I don't know. It's like straight gore. Yeah.
Pretty gross. If you get a chance, Rob, I don't know if you get a chance, watch the Red Band trailer, the new one, and you will literally be just. It's sick. I mean, it's sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not into the gore over the top stuff like the Saw movies. No, thank you. Not my thing. I like psychological horror, like Silence of the Lambs. And it has its gross moments, but that movie's great. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I watched Darkness around the same age, like when I was like late teen, like 17 or so forth. And Army of Darkness was pretty funny, even though I hadn't seen the two before it. I probably saw Evil Dead at some point during college, but I was probably drunk, so I don't remember it.
Hey, that's the best way to watch it, I think.
I think it's the only way to watch it.
It's true. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting,
dude.
Just because it's pretty nasty.
Yeah,
but
I just watched it. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's gonna give you nightmares, and you probably won't be able to sleep.
Seriously.
But, yeah. Did you with the girl vomits all the red?
Oh my
on
gosh.
the face? Yeah,
No, the grossest is when she cuts her tongue in half.
This is a podcast, by the way. You guys don't see anything. We can just only describe it.
This movie sounds great.
Yeah, I know. This movie sounds amazing. No, I think that's how Sam Raimi. Like, I think it was supposed to be, gritty at first, but then I think it caught on as funny. So then that brought Evil Dead 2, which was more comedic in that manner. So then he brought on Army of Darkness, and then Army of Darkness was just hilarious. So
yeah,
I think he just caught on to just being okay. Well, I'll just make it a funny movie. He probably wasn't happy about it, but who cares? It's Sam Raimi. Anyway, let's see. I think that's there's a new Slender game coming out. If anybody's interested in that, it's supposed to have new age graphics. I don't know what that means. I guess.
Is this one the actual game? Like not the...
Yeah, I don't. It's the actual game. It's going to be on consoles. I can't really. It's not really saying a whole lot about it. There is a trailer. It's pretty short. It doesn't really show a whole lot. But it is it's a teaser trailer, so it doesn't show a whole lot. But it's called Slender: The Arrival. I cannot believe how well this game caught on. Like I mean, it's just ridiculous. It was I believe, wasn't it? No, it was not Flash built. It was built with an actual engine.
Was it?
Yeah, with an actual like game engine. The first rendition of it, I believe, and it is coming out. The Marble. Wait. Oh no, the creators of Marble Hornets, which if you ever heard of that game, which I don't really know what that game is, but it will arrive on PC and Mac in 2013, early 2013, and then arrive on consoles later in the year. So I don't know. I never really played it. Games like that just freak me out, so I don't play them. But I play Zombie U, which literally creeps the shit out of me. But I think that's it for that kind of news. But we are going to actually move on and grill Rob for. Yeah, we're gonna grill you and interview you a little bit about podcasting.
Okay.
How did you get into podcasting?
Oh God, it's a really long story. So I bring a book. All right. Many years ago when I was in high school, I actually this is not something I talk a lot about on either show because I'm scared to death that somebody I know is going to find the tapes and put them all over YouTube. But when I was around 16, 17, 18, I was really into public access television when I was in high school. And a lady friend of mine and I did like a sketch comedy show type of thing. And I would sometimes host these impromptu live shows on the local public access network. And that's just like, it was so much fun. Like, it was very easy to kind of get into, take the class, and like people actually watched it because it was on cable. And I got into that. And then I went away to college, and the bug kind of bit me. Like they didn't really have like a TV station at the college I was at or anything like that, but they had a radio station. And I was like, all right, well, TV, radio, it's not that much different, except there's no picture, right? So I got into DJing at the local college radio station, which, let's be honest, nobody was listening to. That would have been about 90. I'm going to really date myself here, guys. That was about 97. I was getting into that. I was doing college radio, and originally the station was on FM cable. Have you ever heard of FM cable?
I have not.
Yeah, neither did anyone in that town. Had no. Apparently, at that time, I doubt you could still do it. You could actually take a splitter on your cable, and you put one coaxial on your TV, and you put one coaxial on your radio, and it opens up all these cable radio channels.
Oh.
That's how you could listen to KCSC, which was the network I was on. So let's be real, we had no listeners, but it was fun, and that was the important part. So, we played music, had fun. I had a little show, funny enough, on Sunday nights was when I was doing the show, and we did some segments. We did a little segment called Listless on the show. That's where that started.
I love that.
So yeah, that started way back there. And so we're doing that in college radio, so forth. Things happened, things changed. I ended up I made a decision not to finish college. I moved back home and went into the working world. So I kind of fell out of the habit of doing that. A friend of mine at the time, who goes by Travis Donovan, was starting an online radio show. And I should say this, because nobody was listening to FM cable, the stations shifted to, I think finally the local cable carrier dropped the FM cable thing, and they switched to the station switched to Real Player, and you could listen to the show through Real Audio, because that was right when high-speed internet was starting to break, and they actually got high-speed internet in all the dorms. So we finally started to get some listeners. That was cool. So that was my first exposure to internet radio, would have been around 99. So I moved home. My buddy Travis Donovan, he's like, hey, I want to start an online radio show. And I don't remember remember exactly what inspired him to do it, if he heard other people doing it, but he started doing this online radio show by himself, and it was a pre-show to the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was every Saturday night at the local, slum cinemas. And so he did this thing like as a pre-show, and he invited me to come on as a guest. And we had so much fun together with the banter back and forth. I ended up being asked to be a permanent host on this show, and it was called Under Sedation Live was the name of the show. Under Sedation being the name of the Rocky Horror Cast that was there locally. So him and I did that for a couple years, and we did that with our friend Jessica was on the show as well, and she's still on the show to this day. And one of the frequent guests that would come on the show all the time was our friend that we met at the local arcades, because Jessica and I got into really playing DDR, Dance Dance Revolution. Like we got sucked into it. Like it was like crazy. It was crack. And, of all things to get addicted to, DDR, call me a nerd as much as you want, but DDR is at least like exercise. So we got into DDR. We're all the thinnest we've ever been. And one of our frequent guests that we met playing all these games like DDR and Beatmania and the Japanese beat matching games was our friend Jamie. And Jamie would guest all the time on Understation Live. I think she was like the most frequent guest co-host. Well, one day we're all sitting on the train and we're just like, why don't we do a show like this? I want to do more. I want to do more broadcasting. Understation Live's getting bigger and bigger. Let's do something else. Let's do a spin-off show. Let's do something about DDR and that community and music games. So that's where the idea of Orange Lounge Radio was born, which was that show. And our first show was June 23rd, 2002. Was through Live 365, which was the same place Understation Live was on. We were broadcasting our own show about the DDR community. And so we did that every week. Another guy that we played a lot of the Beat Mania games with, Loki, he wasn't technically we didn't know him as well at that time, so we didn't technically invite him to be a host on the show in the beginning, but we were like, hey, friends that we play DDR with, come over, we're starting this show. Loki showed up every single week for the first 20 weeks. So it's that point where Jamie and we got to know him like really well from doing the show together. So it's at the point where Jamie and I look at each other and we look at Loki and we're like, yeah, you're a host. Come on, you've been here like 20. Yeah, you're a host. So that's how the three of us kind of really got into the radio show. Podcasting itself, that all happened later because the podcasting train started probably late 2005. And I read about it on a forum. I read about somebody was saying, hey, why doesn't our group put together this little 20-minute show? Because you can distribute it through RSS. And they were calling it TiVo at the time. It's basically like TiVo for radio. It was kind of like the comparison you were getting for podcasting at the time. This was before it was on iTunes. You had to use a separate RSS catcher to get the show. And we kind of looked at it. We were like, okay, maybe our 3-hour show is too big to do this with. But what if we did like a focused little 20-minute spin-off show, Orange Lounge Radio to Go, that would be about general gaming? Because we play a lot of other games too. We don't just play music games. And at that time, the music game scene was dying down. So we launched our little 20-minute podcast, Orange Lounge Radio to Go. And that was, I think, the very first week of 2006 was our first show. Well, so we started doing that every week. We do a live show. We do our spinoff show every week. In June 2006, that's when iTunes launched podcasting. So we were one of the first gaming podcasts in iTunes. And so that just is when things blew up, because it's like, oh my God, like suddenly we've gone from having like 2 listeners to having a lot more. And it was crazy. So, we stuck with it. And finally in 2007, we merged the shows together and decided, what, we have so much more to say about general gaming as opposed to just music games. We're really video game fans first, and music gaming was always a subset of that. So Orange Lounge Radio is still going since 2002 every week to today. So that's my big, long, bloated story about how I got into podcasting. But you really have to understand it was kind of like little steps that led to it. It wasn't just like, oh, I want to start a podcast, because it was, so brand new at that time. I had done all these other things in my past that kind of made podcasting a natural evolution.
I'm literally going to say that, and this is going to probably sound cheesy, but I began listening to you guys, and probably I would say it was when you were still affiliated with All Games,
Mm-hmm.
and I started listening to you probably in I want to say 2010 maybe. I think it was 2010. And so you always try to find a podcast, because I was just trying to find a podcast to listen to that was interesting, and I enjoyed the hosts, and literally almost life changing in the aspect of finding people to listen to that are interested in the same things that you are, and it all of you guys, the chemistry of everyone on the show, not only the main host but the other people that you bring on, and just everything. It's just, you feel the love of video games, and it's hard to come by, because you have a lot of podcasts out there, but not a podcast like Orange Lounge Radio.
Thank you.
There's lots of podcasts out there that only do it to make revenue, and obviously, like every one of your listeners know, you don't make a dime off of it, and it's refreshing to know that there's people still out there that will do this and enjoy it still, even though they're not getting paid for it. And I think that's really what connected me to Orange Lounge Radio, and I continue to listen today, and I introduced these two guys to Orange Lounge Radio not too long ago, and they enjoy it, and it's just a refreshing show, and I love the, I mean, it's hilarious. I mean, if you don't think Orange Lounge Radio is hilarious with the chemistry between all three of these people, I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. Not to mention Salacious Pop is hilarious. I have to say, Alan is absolutely fantastic.
It's so funny, and I'm glad he's like opening up a little more when he guests on the show and so forth, because he's really funny. You know, obviously I know him pretty well, and he's really, really funny, and he's really good at coming up with these one-line zingers that really tie into pop culture. And yeah, sometimes he doesn't say it enough. Like, I'm always urging, like, if you think of something funny, just say it. Like, I say things that end up not being funny all the time, and it just happens. You know, you just take a chance. But I think the fact that we are all friends, you know, we did all meet you know, kind of in real life playing video games. I mean, we met in the way that our show tries to be. We all met because of a love of video games, and now we're longtime friends. And this is like, I don't want to sound like weird or nothing, but in a way, this is kind of our church. I'm not trying to make it sound like a religious thing or a holy thing. We're not a cult. But what I mean by that is that you got, some people got their things that they got to do every week. And for some people, it's, you know, go to church. For some people, it's I'm going to a particular club, or I'm going for this particular hobby, or it's pizza and football, or whatever it is I do every single week. And that's what OLR's become, is that, like, you know, I think that's how we have the discipline to have done it as long as we have, is it's like, you know, this is how I hang out with Jamie and Matt almost every week. I mean, yes, I see them outside of the show, but for the most part, that's really like our chance to kind of hang out together. And almost everybody that we've brought on the show in real life is somebody else we know in real life that's kind of out of that same circle of friends that we probably also met playing video games. And what's great about the listenership that we've built is that, like, it's just like a natural extension of the family. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You try to find these shows. Gaming podcasts in this day and age are a dime a dozen, right? So you're looking for people that you can really connect with. And I know for me, what really turns me off in a lot of gaming podcasts is a total lack of humility sometimes. And it's exactly what you said. People that are trying to be in it for the money, or people that think it's bigger than it really is. You know, we don't kid ourselves at all about what OLR is. You know, we're just gamers. We're trying to have a good time. We don't really think we're particularly like a big famous show or whatever. We're just doing it because it's fun, and we love like interacting with the listeners and so forth. And I think the people that kind of connect with our show, like, would be people we'd hang out with in real life. Like, and in fact, I went to New York City a few years ago, and I posted about it on probably MySpace was the thing then. I don't know. But I posted, hey, I'm going to New York City, and a bunch of listeners and I actually met up at Dave & Buster's. We had an awesome time. It was great. And one of them actually came out here for the 10-year anniversary show of Orange Lounge Radio. It's been a blast. It's just meeting the different people, and it has been life-changing. It's been very life-changing for me. I don't know where the heck I'd be without, you know, podcasting. Essentially. It's crazy.
Well, and like, do you guys have anything to say?
I'm just listening intently.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting to me.
Well, it's one of those things, and I think that's what we're trying to do with this podcast, because obviously everyone has an agenda, everyone has responsibilities in a certain way, and well, except for John. John, do you have any responsibilities?
Thanks, Cody.
I'm just kidding. No, but everybody has something to do, and to come out every Saturday, Sunday, whatever day that you do it, and just talk to what you hope are people listening to you is just it's something deeper. I think that you have to really really enjoy it, and if you don't enjoy it, it's almost like this goes to the fact of how Hayden and John and I met. We're all YouTubers. We all have YouTube channels, and we just kind of met through YouTube. And Hayden one day decided, hey, I've always wanted to start a podcast. Do you guys want to start a podcast with me? And both me and John were on board, and we love video games. It's kind of in the same grounds as OLR. We all love video games. We've become amazing friends, and through the whole thing. And we haven't done, obviously, this is what, the 6th episode. It's nothing on Orange Lounge Radio, but we
should start somewhere.
Yeah, and we love it. We enjoy it. We come out. I mean, I like a lot of people out there. I mean, I have a daughter. I have responsibilities I have to do, but I come here every Saturday to do this because I want to, and I want to talk to my friends and have just chatter about just gaming stuff and just all kinds in general, and I think that's what it should be about, and I think that you guys have literally 100% hit it on the head with your podcast, and I appreciate you guys every freaking Sunday. I listen to you, and then when I listen to you at work again. So
Thank you. That is quite the compliment. I really appreciate that. I find it fascinating the way that you guys kind of all met up through YouTube, because that is something, like, I got to admit, like, I know that's where it's at right now, the viral videos and all that, and the people that do their vlogs and kind of some of them tend to take off and so forth. Like, and that's like a world, like, I don't know anything about that. And I'm like, it kind of bugs me in some ways, because I'm like, I really try to be on the cutting edge of all the social media. Like, we tried to, as soon as Skype came out, we were trying to figure out how to get Skype calls on our show. And as soon as Twitter came out, like, how can we make Twitter a part of the show and all this stuff? But like YouTube, I'm just going like, I don't know what to do with YouTube. That's video. It's Orange Lounge Radio. Why do I do a video? It's tough. So I think that's pretty cool that you guys kind of use that as a social network of sorts to connect. That's really cool.
it was a neat thing, and I don't know if John does a vlog. He does all kinds of things during the week, and then Hayden does gameplay uploads, and he does vlogs, and I'll do vlogs and gameplay uploads and stuff like that. And I don't know. I don't know. Hayden was the first one I met, and I was just like, I don't know. And then my wife was like, I don't know if you need to be talking to this kid. You're older. That's weird. And then I was just like, well, no, I want to make friends. I want to make friends, network, and just have a good time on YouTube, because you need people to kind of flourish your channel, because you're not making, obviously, let's be honest, you're not making this for no one. You're making it for people to watch. So if you flourish your channel and make friends that's a plus. And so I am so proud that I met both these guys, and they're amazing guys, obviously, but we actually we all live in different states, which is crazy, but well, I guess that's not really that crazy, but
the internet's different now. The internet makes that possible. When we start, I'm really aging myself here, and I'm not trying to sound like back in my day, but the reality is, when we started OLR, the internet wasn't, we couldn't have done that, because we were a dial-up friendly stream on Live 365. Okay,
Yeah.
we would not have been able to do it if we weren't all in the same room. And I'll tell you what, now when it comes to OLR, that I'm very adamant about that. Like, there have been, and I'll admit this here, there have been nights where one of us was going to be away or out of town, and we're like, I could Skype in, and I'm like, no, that's not what the show is. Is that Skype works great for other shows and allows people to do their thing, but our thing has always been that we're in the same room, and I think that adds so much to the chemistry. Like, the Skype thing, it for us wasn't like what we wanted to do. But on the other hand, okay, so that's OLR. But on the other hand, I have this newer show, about 2 years old, Horde House, and we do that all through Skype, because we have one host who's in Kansas, one who's in the Bay Area, one who's here, a couple who are here in Sacramento, what have you. And so the internet allows us to do that, and that chemistry That's how that show was made and that chemistry. And if we were all in the same room, it might be kind of awkward.
Yeah. I feel like, well, no, because we actually did a podcast in Google Hangout, and it was probably the most, I wouldn't say it was awkward, but it was so off topic because we were all staring at each other at the same time. So it was
that was our first one.
Yeah, it was our first one, and it was just like, what are we supposed to do? I don't like the whole time I was just staring at John through the camera because I didn't know what to do.
But the one we did last week, I think, was a lot more on topic.
No, that was, yeah, no, that one was because we did. I mean, we knew. I mean, and then we like spammed the like Google effects and like just all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, episode 3 was not good.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Well, that's like,
different.
That's when a radio show first finds soundboards on the internet, you know, like, you know, look at all these wacky sounds I can play on the show. Like, you know, somebody says something stupid and then.
Yeah, there we go.
So, you know, every show goes through its thing. So
yeah, but we also wanted to ask you as well. What are you looking forward to in 2013? Like, is there anything that you're just totally ecstatic about in 2013?
Like video game wise or
anything? Oh, it's all on the table. Anything.
Oh gosh, I'm hoping we just don't know of it yet. Sometimes the most exciting things we don't always necessarily know about yet. They haven't been thought of. But I mean, certainly when it comes to gaming, I'm as curious as the next guy about what is it that Microsoft's going to do. What does the next gen of gaming really look like to these companies? You know, we know what Nintendo's doing, but they've always been off in their own little world and it's worked for them. So whatever. So now what about Nintendo and Sony? Where are they going with it? We're certainly going to hear from Microsoft this year. Sony, I don't know. I still think that's debatable. I think a lot of people are counting on PlayStation 4 showing up this year. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen because Sony still has to figure out, is the Vita going to happen or are we going to write it off at this point? And I think that's going to be a big thing to watch this year, is how much effort is Sony going to put into making Vita happen? And will they sweep it under the rug and try to get the PlayStation 4 out soon? Or are they really going to focus on trying to sell more Vitas this year? That part's going to be very interesting to me. As far as movies go, Star Trek Into Darkness. Hello. I am like,
so excited about that.
Me too. Like I can't wait. That is definitely the movie I'm looking forward to most of all through this next year. I can't think of any like particular individual games. I think there are things we'll learn about what studios have been working on for a long time, these very ambitious projects. One of them that comes to mind is Bungie's Destiny. Of course, Bungie was making the Halo games before. They did not make Halo 4. Their last one was what? ODST or Reach? One of those was those games was Bungie's last. And so they've been working on this a publishing deal they have with Activision now on this game. Rumored to be, I mean, lots of rumors going around about Destiny. It sounds like it might be like a swords and sorcery type of thing, or it might be like, I don't know if it's that or if it's like an apocalyptic Earth type thing. It sounds like it's going to be very different. It's not going to be like a first person shooter, but it also sounds like it's going to tap into, you have your console game, you have your portable game, you have your mobile phone game that all kind of tie into the same world, and they all kind of each other. So I'm curious about, if you read some of the early rumors, that kind of sounds like the direction they're going. Really curious about that because it sounds very ambitious. And let's be real, Bungie did great things with Halo and really pushed the first person genre forward in a huge way. So, you know, is this going to be the next big thing? Will it be a total colossal train wreck flop we'll all be watching with popcorn.gif? I don't know. And then I would say lastly, since, you know, I watch Blizzard a lot because of World of Warcraft, they've got a very ambitious project. We don't know a damn thing about it except it's called Project Titan. What could it be? I don't think Blizzard's put out a new IP for a very long time, because, you know, Diablo 3 sequel, StarCraft 2 sequel, World of Warcraft pretty much a sequel. So what the hell is Titan? Is it actually a new IP? Is it Warcraft 4? Who knows? I guess a lot of the rumbles is it is a new MMO. And whether you love or hate World of Warcraft, it is the biggest MMO that a lot of MMOs really try to be. So, you know, whatever Blizzard's going to do with their next MMO is definitely something to watch. So I'm curious. I think that'll be unveiled at BlizzCon whenever they do that, be it June or fall this year, whatever time frame they decide to do that.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, they will keep flourishing. I don't play World of Warcraft myself because I think it's mostly just because I don't have the time. But if I did have the time, I probably would. I don't really play a whole lot of MMOs, but if I did have the time, I'd probably play it. It looks interesting. I played a beta once, which is probably noobish in the World of Warcraft land. But I
It's changed.
yeah, lots of change. A lot has changed probably. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that I've always kind of been interested in. I just like I said, I never had the time to play it, and I don't know.
You want to be careful getting sucked into World of Warcraft. It can be a great thing. It can be the worst thing to ever happen to you. It's just everybody's a little bit different. One thing I did want to say though quickly about Titan is that one thing to also watch is that although Blizzard tends to put out these games that really sell very well, very critically acclaimed, they in many ways, and a lot of people tell you, they took a misstep with Diablo 3. And Diablo 3 was not all that the community expected it to be. In fact, I would go so far as to say Torchlight 2 is a better game than Diablo 3, honestly. I truly believe that. So, did this humble Blizzard a little bit? Is this going to make them work extra harder? I don't know. But I think Diablo 3 could have been better. And there was a lot promised for it that they didn't deliver on, but they sure were quick to make sure that auction house with the real money was going to work. And there was a lot of no land and all that kind of very unpopular decisions that have kept people on Diablo 2.
Yeah, I feel like that's a trend now. The no LAN. I don't know. I've been seeing that in a lot of games lately.
Well, but if the audience responds to it by not buying your game, that'll dry up. But
Yeah.
EA is going to take a stab at it with the new SimCity. Is going to have to be always connected. I don't know how that's going to do for him because SimCity, I don't know, because The Sims was like the biggest PC game ever in many ways.
Yeah.
So who am I to say that SimCity is going to flop? But I kind of look at it and go, I don't know. You're going to have to convince the core gamers first. It's not going to spread to the casual gamers unless you get the hardcore gamers to adopt to it as well. And I think there's a lot of people looking at this always online thing and going like, I don't need SimCity.
Well, I will tell you, Rob, this is totally off topic what we're talking about right now, but I saw this in a pamphlet that got in the mail the other day. Here in Oklahoma, we have a place called the Lyric Theater, which it plays a lot of theater type stuff, and I was totally excited to see that we are getting the Rocky Horror Picture Show on October 16th to November 2nd. I will make an appearance to that because I am a huge fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So
Awesome. It's now, is it the Rocky Horror Show, the stage show? Because that's something even rarer. You don't really get to see a whole lot. So that is what it is. Go see it.
Who's the director of the stage show?
Well, the director would vary depending on what production you're seeing. A director local. Yeah.
That's true. This one
in the 70s, so.
This one only says Richard O'Brien. So.
Oh yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah. So well, it doesn't say who's actually directing it. So but I am excited about it. I believe that it is because the Lyric Theater is a place where you see live shows. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that it would be the live show.
Well, that's awesome. Bring some rice.
So I'm pretty excited about that. But we are actually going to bring in another guy. We have another guy who is a host on our show every once in a while. He lives in Sweden, so he doesn't really come on a whole lot because usually it's around his bedtime. But we're going to bring him in, see if he has a couple questions for you. So I'm going to add him to the call here. Wait, did John drop off? John, you still? Here. Oh, you still there? Okay. Well, I'm adding him. I don't know what. I'm just trying to figure out if I didn't screw up everything. Is everybody still here?
He's heading to bed. He said. He just messaged me on Skype and said he's going to bed.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. Okay. Well, that makes sense. He lives in Sweden. So my dog is attacking me right now. I don't understand what is going on. But yeah, any more topics? Anything that you would like to ask this wonderful podcast person? He's very he's very shy on taking credit for. He doesn't want to think himself as a celebrity. I think him as a celebrity. So
That's fair. I'm a big fan of video games too. If I was a celebrity, I'd live in a mansion or something. I mean, that's
but yeah, does anybody have any questions?
There's so much I could ask. I'm just trying to pick the best question here. So, Cody tells me you're up in Sacramento.
yes.
Yeah, I'm down in San Jose, so I'm not too far from you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll go. I'm in that area all the time. Yeah.
Have you been up? This is like, I guess it's sort of related to what you do, but have you been in Sac like all your life, or?
Actually, yes. I am born and raised in the Sacramento area. Save for a couple years where I went to school up in Chico,
Okay.
which really isn't that far from Sacramento itself. But yeah, no, I've been born and raised in this area. I have a ton of friends in South Bay though, and I credit a lot of that to the music game days as well. You guys have a couple of really big golf lands, like back when they were like actually at arcade games. Miggle. You ever heard that term before, Phil? Miggle, Milpitas Golf Land.
No, I know Milpitas Golf Land, but I've never heard Miggle.
Yeah. We used to call it Miggle back in the day, MGL, Milpitas Golf Land. That was one of the big DDR spots, and they had a lot of import machines, and that was the first place we ever got to play Para Para Paradise, which was a music game that invoked using your hands as well as your feet to kind of do this. Imagine country line dancing, but with little Japanese schoolgirls and to like techno. Para was. So we were, that game was hilarious. So we played that a little bit, and that was all at Miggle. Or Sunnyvale Golfland, Sviggle was the other one, and those are both in the South Bay area. Sunnyvale was the one that always had Beatmania 2DX. Lots of big tournaments and so forth in that area. So yeah, I met a lot of people who live there. In fact, I just spent my New Year's in Fremont.
Wow.
We have some good friends that live in that area that I've just known for years. So we've done New Year's at their place for the past couple of years. So yeah, I know the South Bay very well. Good times. I used to rock South Bay too.
My friend lived a block away from Milpitas Golfland, so we used to go there all the time. And he got super into. It was funny when you mentioned DDR. He got super into like the Milpitas Golfland DDR thing. He went to a couple competitions and stuff. It was really funny.
Probably saw him at one of those.
Wow, small world.
One of my closest friends I met at a Milpitas Golfland tournament, Melody, who ended up marrying Mel B. Anybody who knows DDR and freestyle, he was a huge freestyler back in the day. But Melody and I met, and of course I know Mel now too, but Melody and I met at a Milpitas Golfland tournament, and it was one of those things where we were just kind of like both sitting down in the corner, like watching people play, and just got to talking, and now we're like super good friends. And she actually has a DDR machine in her house. They're special crazy, but in an adorable way.
It's funny. My friend knows a Melody. I don't know if it could possibly be the same person, but
it very well might. Who knows?
Yeah, that's funny.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I'm actually jealous of people who actually have arcades because, like everybody knows, I live in Oklahoma, and there is absolutely nothing here except, as a lot of people probably in California think, we ride horses and carry guns. Now you do have the gun part right, because we just passed a law to where you can have an open carry, where you can carry around a gun. So we're basically going back to.
So not only do you carry a gun, you get to show it off.
Heck yeah, dude. That's how we roll in Oklahoma, I guess. I don't know. We don't.
I'm packing this bad boy. Right? I want my penis on the outside, right there. See it?
Yeah, exactly. I think you actually have a. Do you have a caller that calls in quite a bit from Oklahoma? I believe.
Not from Oklahoma, but I'm thinking when you talk about Oklahoma and all that, I think of one of my best friends, Shane, who lives in Kansas, and he calls in a lot. I know they used to drive to like Oklahoma City for some things, and they would drive these great distances for arcades and things like that. So I should actually ask him, like, do you know of anything in the Oklahoma area that's like still up and running? I don't know what there is. I haven't been to that area myself. I drove through Oklahoma when I was 17, but nonetheless, I didn't stop at any arcades for sure. So I don't know what is still in that area, but unfortunately, the trend is not that different even out in California. I mean, yes, we still have arcades and we have those golf lands, but you walk into the place where Jamie, Matt, and I all really started hanging out. You walk into Roseville Golfland today, our Vigil, and it is like it's nothing but ticket spitting, little kid gambling type of game. Big press the button to stop the needle on the giant wheel with the lights. Like, you know, pretty, insert $1 to press the pretty button. Like that's how these arcades are making money now. Very few actual video games left, and a lot of times, you know, they're the more industrial sized things, like, you know, the uber sized Mario Kart, which, don't get me wrong, that game's kind of fun. Once in a while a DDR machine, but you know, you just don't have anything like Soul Calibur 2. That game was the shit in arcades, because, you know, you had the whole competition within the arcade, and everybody had like their different factions, and, you know, doing the fighting, and, you know, there's not a lot of that anymore in arcades, no matter where you go. And I was at the mall here locally the other day, and they opened up this thing called the Fun Factory, and I was like, oh, it's like an arcade. I'm like, let's go in, let's see what arcade games they have. Yeah, not a single arcade game. Every single thing in that place was some type of Deal or No Deal, ticket spit, Wheel of Fortune, get the gold coin, redemption counter. Actually, I take that back. There was one, like, get in the safari car and shoot animals type of game that I don't think in the back. And
we well, and like we have we just got our first Dave and Buster's, which
okay, Dave and Buster's is pretty cool. Dave and Buster's is like Chuck E. Cheese for 21 and up. That's
yeah. Well, I can walk around with a beer and not have to worry about, you know, I can play video games while drinking. So that, I mean, that's fun. But I mean, I don't know. We used to have like your normal arcade in like a mall or something like that, but all of those have now since closed, and it's just, I remember the days when I was younger and I could go into a mall and play like all sorts of games, and DDR was one of them, and I could just go in there and just play it and not have to worry about, you know, paying well, obviously paying tons of money to play it, and then on top of that, now nothing is around anymore. So it's just, I don't know, it's sad. But I am fortunate enough to have a Dave and Buster's kind of just right down the street from my house. So it's not that bad, I guess. But we do ride horses. So
you know what you would probably really be into, and because I thought this place was awesome. There's a place like this in New York City. I haven't been there myself, but I've heard about it. But the one I went to was in Portland, and it was I was up there just visiting a friend, and we went to this bar. This little place that had all like nothing but retro arcade machines in it from like the 80s and 90s, and they were like restored. They all worked, put in the actual quarters to play. You go upstairs, it's nothing but pinball machines, you know, like all the retro stuff. And it was awesome. It was like being a kid again. It was so cool. And on top of that, it's a bar.
Oh wow.
Who remembers those games, right? It's like catered towards people like you and me who are like in their 20s and 30s now, who remember this stuff from growing up. And now we're all old enough to drink now. So it's like, you know, get drunk and spend more quarters than you might have before. So I'm hoping that's a trend that catches on and every city gets a place like this.
Well, I do remember though, and you might remember this too, John, if you went to Disneyland at this time. But they had, and I believe you actually went. Did you go into Flint's arcade, Rob?
Oh
yeah.
God, yes, I loved Electronica. Yeah. I might be a little bit of a Disney addict.
John's right there with you. He's almost like insane Disney addict, I think.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah.
I'm in my detox phase right now, because ever since Cars Land opened, they jacked up all the prices by like 30% to get the passes. I'm like, all right, we're going to go a year without having an annual pass. So let's try to live. So it's been like 4 months since I've been to Disneyland. I'm like shaking. But Electronica was like, I could just sit in the corner and go, bah, 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 bah. It was the best thing ever. It was so awesome. Just, you know, I love Tron, the movie, the type of music they would play in the environment with the lasers and all the projections on the walls. It was like being in the future. And then, yes, Flynn's Arcade was the shit. It was like, I can't believe they didn't keep it somewhere in Disneyland. So, I mean, I guess they turned it into the Mad Hatters, but now they added ticket spitting machines and all that crap. The same thing happened to Flynn's Arcade that happened to every other arcade in the nation.
They don't have any of the older, like, actual video games in there anymore?
I haven't been back to Disneyland since Tea Party started. That's about the time my pass expired. So I don't know what they did and didn't keep. I know they have Wreck-It Ralph. They have a couple of those, like the Donkey Kong machines that they converted to Wreck-It Ralph. They have a couple of those around. And I think they have some limited, like they have like an Indiana Jones pinball table somewhere and so forth. But one thing to look forward to, Tron 3 got greenlit, so that is actually going to happen. So that'll all be cool again, in 2015 whenever that movie comes out. So who knows if that'll all come back or what they'll do to promote that movie.
They have to bring it back. There's no way that they couldn't. I mean, that is promotion out the ass for that. I mean,
I was livid when they switched it out for the Mad Tea Party because I cannot stand the Alice in Wonderland that Tim Burton did. And it's not I'm a fan of Tim Burton. I'm a fan of Alice in Wonderland. I hated that movie. I really hated it. And it's the fact that the park was, we're going to get rid of Electronica because Tron's kind of a couple years old now, and we're going to replace it with an ode to a movie that's even older. I was a little bit upset. So
see, I felt the same way. I think Electronica was cooler. The cool factor was much higher, but they have like a live band that switches out with the DJ now, and I think like just live entertainment is awesome. And they just do covers of pop songs and stuff. And to me, like, I think it's every half hour it's the live band, and the next half hour it's the White Rabbit DJ. I really like the live stuff. The DJ comes on and everyone kind of disperses a little bit. It's funny.
As much as I really want to hate it, I have heard they've done a pretty good job. I did see the decorations. I heard a rumor. I don't know what the truth is to this, but a big part of the reason why they got rid of Electronica is that they were renting all of that stuff. And Disney wanted to own it. So everything that you see at Tea Party, Disney owns, and that's why it was flipped out. So Tea Party's probably going to be there a little while it's more successful than Tron or not. I really, really hope they take a step to switch it back, or put Tron back in the park somewhere. How about the People Mover?
Yeah.
People back in the early 80s used to have Tron in it when the first Tron movie came out, and tons of Disney addicts are like, where's the People Mover? Bring back the People Mover, because the tracks are just sitting there looking all sad. So who knows
well, I don't actually go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I don't know much about Disneyland. I have been to Disney World, but I mean I know it was a pretty amazing experience, but I would like to go back now that I'm a little older. I was pretty young when I went to Disney World, so and a lot of things have actually have changed, I'm sure. But I also wanted to say too that now that Disney bought LucasArts and all of Lucas films and all that stuff, do you think that will take a huge part in the change of Disneyland?
No more than it already has. Disneyland already had Star Wars, the Star Tours, and the Indiana Jones ride and so forth. So I just see that as more of like a continued partnership. And so many people were so hateful when that news first came out about Disney buying LucasArts. But I'm sorry, Star Tours is the best thing to have happened to Star Wars in a very long time. The reboot of Star Tours is excellent. Let me put it this way. The new Star Tours has that whole randomized arrangement of all the planets and everything that you can do. When you're sitting there hoping you get the Jar Jar Binks planet because it's actually the best one you can get in the ride, like, that's saying something for the Star Wars movies. I really hope we get Jar Jar Binks. What happened? So I don't see how bad they took it from George Lucas, and it's going to be fine. Everybody exhale. Star Wars is going to be fine.
Go ahead, John.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, no, you didn't. Go ahead.
I did. I'm serious. I could think of other things to say. I'll agree with Rob, though. With the amount of merchandising they do with like the Star Wars and Indiana Jones characters, like crossing it with Disney, like at the parks they have, I think it's every classic Disney character has like a Star Wars counterpart that they sell in Tomorrowland. And I forget who Yoda is for the life of me. I can't remember right now. But like Donald Duck is Darth Maul, and they sell like Donald Duck, Darth Maul beanies that you can buy. You would have already thought that Disney owned Lucasfilm. Like, like if you've been to the parks recently, that it's not shocking news at all with the amount of stuff that they did together. So I don't know. I don't think it'll change the parks a whole lot. If anything, they'll just be more than there is now. I've heard rumors for a long time that they've been wanting to redo Tomorrowland at Disneyland. And the last rumor I read like a year ago was that they were working with George Lucas to create something a little bit more timeless than Tomorrowland has been in the past. It's always been, what tomorrow might actually look like, whereas they might want to move towards something a little more Star Wars, I guess you could say, like space fantasy more than science fiction.
That
But
would
yeah,
make a lot of sense actually, because like, Tomorrowland has the Innoventions building, which is one of the biggest like flops at Disneyland right now. I mean, they have you can play Xbox 360 at Disneyland. A lot of people don't know that, but you go in the Innoventions building, they've got that stuff. But that building really, like, they got to do something with it. They got to do something else with it. And there's the People Mover tracks and like all this other stuff. Obviously they're never going to tear down Space Mountain or Star Tours or any of that stuff, but there is a lot of other stuff in that area that could stand to have a little extra something put into it. So I hope there is truth in that rumor.
yeah, Innoventions is probably the biggest waste of space in Disneyland.
So it's unfortunate. Like, that used to be, it really used to be like a futuristic thing, especially like when it was like America Sings and all that. It was like the thing that like, people had to see. But now it's just kind of like, it's like, oh, I get to go on Best Buy the ride. It's just
Yeah. The one cool thing I'll take from Innoventions is I got to play with the Microsoft Surface, like the actual little coffee table size thing. And that was when the iPhone was new, so that, capacitive touchscreen was really cool. But besides that, I mean, that was like 5 years ago or something. I played with that.
The problem is that same table is still in there.
Yep.
It's not very innovative.
Yeah, I've read, again, these are all rumors. I, take these all with a grain of salt. I read since the Marvel acquisition, they wanted to turn it into some sort of Stark Expo themed place, but it would still be the same concept. It would just be have Tony Stark on the outside. So I don't know how good of an idea that would be. But
oh yeah, because they own Marvel too.
Yeah, and has Marvel gone to shit? Not really.
No, not at all.
Yeah, and Disney bought the Muppets, and the Muppet movie they did recently was like the best one in years. So
yeah, it was pretty good.
That's true.
Disney is not the kiss of death as much as people want it to be. I mean, yeah, they're getting a little big. I mean, I hope they don't. This should be about the end of it for what Disney acquires, but I don't think it's going to be necessarily bad.
I mean, I can honestly tell I'm a Disney fanatic. Probably not as much because I don't have any places to go in Oklahoma. Which I've come up with the conclusion I'm just moving to either probably California so I could just freaking go to Disneyland. Nothing is in Oklahoma. No one's ever gonna put anything in Oklahoma. But yeah, I've always been a Disney fanatic. I remember growing up and literally collecting all these these Disney movie art books because I love art. I'm an artist, and so I actually in the same field of art as Dark Sakura. I am a graphic designer as well. So but I remember when growing up how I used to like draw all the freaking characters from The Lion King and like all these older movies, Cinderella, all the movies. I mean, I collected all these art books and I love Disney, and I don't think Disney's going anywhere soon. And especially this Wreck-It Ralph movie was amazing. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have to say it was absolutely fantastic. And the stuff that they did with which I know it was Pixar, but I mean that, but with the stuff that they did with bringing in certain video game characters and stuff is finally a video game movie that didn't suck, I guess you would say.
Wreck-It Ralph was not Pixar.
It wasn't Pixar?
It looked like Pixar. It was that same style animation. No, it was actually the Disney Classic Animation Studio, same people that did Tangled.
Well,
and
that. Thank you, Rob. I didn't know that. I thought that was Pixar.
No, it's actually Disney Classic Studio. It is considered Wreck-It Ralph was the classic Disney animation film for the year, even though it has the more traditional. This the same studio that did Beauty and the Beast back in the day, Little Mermaid, and then evolved to doing what are the more recent ones? Like Princess and the Frog was probably their last traditional animated film, but then they started to do a little more with the computer style thing. So they of course had Tangled was huge for them, and now Wreck-It Ralph did very, very well. So you can almost guarantee there's going to be a sequel to that at some point, whether it be direct to video, Blu-ray, or what have you, like some of those Disney movies do. There will be more Wreck-It Ralph, which is pretty exciting. Brave was the Pixar movie this year. And Monsters University or whatever is the one they got next year. They only tend to do about one a year.
Wow. No, that's total. I totally thought
Yeah,
it was Pixar. That's
a lot
crazy.
of- it looks like Pixar, and the quality, you come to expect that if I go see a Pixar movie, as long as it's not called Cars 2, it's going to be great. Like, Pixar
Now,
doesn't make bad movies except for Cars 2.
now, Up. That was Pixar, correct?
That
Yes.
was Pixar.
See, it was the same animation, kind of like the boxy faces and like stuff like that. That's why I think that's why I thought it was Pixar. That's crazy.
Well, I'm
Wow.
sure, and I'm sure they collaborate and, have meetings and share best ideas and all that stuff and trading some people back and forth. So it's certainly, I'm sure Pixar influenced that. I'm sure the Disney Classic Studio goes, Princess and the Frog didn't do as well as we all thought it would. Maybe we want to try taking a cue from Pixar. Who knows? Even though Princess and the Frog I think was great, but it didn't make as much money as some of these other movies did. So that Disney takes a couple cues from Pixar is no surprise at all.
That's true. But okay, so I think we're gonna wrap this up here pretty soon. But Hayden, do you have anything to ask this wonderful man?
I
Sucks.
I can't think of anything.
Come on.
I'm
I'm putting both Hayden and John on the spot. John was like, I got.
Well, I seriously could ask. I was being genuine. I seriously could ask so many questions, but I don't know if they would be interesting to our listeners whatsoever. So,
Why? Why not?
because it's really tech dirty stuff. Like I was gonna ask them what kind of mics they use, but who wants to go into that?
If they sat through that entire story where I was talking about public access and all that, then they made it this far, they might not care about the long answers. Right now, actually, I have to confess, the mics we use were actually donated by another show, Pod Culture, which they've been on for a very long time as well, and they're part of the same network, the Voice of Geeks network, that myself and Bobby Blackwolf and many other shows are. They actually donated these mics to us because he totally redid his studio, and he's like, I don't want these mics to go to waste. We were using a hodgepodge of all these different mics we'd collected over the years. Like, they were not consistent. But right now, the mics we use are Star Power SP4Cs. And we have 4 of them here in the studio, and they all have the little mic condoms on them to prevent the popping and so forth. And we all use hand mics. I know many shows use the stationary mics and the big booms and all that, and that might sound great and all, but we like to use the hand mics. So that's what we have. We hold the mic in our hand and do the talking.
Wow, very interesting. To me, at least.
No, it is. It's. I think there's actually a picture. I think it's actually on the Orange Lounge Radio website of all of them sitting in a circle with their mics and everything talking. But yeah, that is interesting because I think a lot of times these days a lot of people will get these stationary mics. I have a stationary mic, and I think I know Hayden and John both do as well. So, but yeah, no, that is interesting.
You got to use what works for you. And I hear a lot of people like wanting to start a podcast like, oh, I have to have the right mic, or I have to have, what mixing board do you use? Because I have to have a mixing board. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, can you use Skype on your computer? Yeah, I've got something that works for Skype. Okay, you can do a podcast. You don't need all that fancy stuff. I mean, yes, it will make your show sound better, and you should always strive for that type of stuff, but don't let that stuff hold you back, because the biggest part about like doing a podcast is kind of getting that discipline, getting that rhythm, finding your theme, what is it you want to do, and so forth. And don't let the quality hold you back. That'll all come in time.
Well, I have a confession to make. I used to do commentaries when I first started out on YouTube. I did commentaries with a Rock Band mic, so that's where that goes.
They're USB mics. They work great.
Yes, yeah. So it worked pretty well. So, but Hayden, do you have anything?
Well, actually, I wanted to touch on that microphone note with what you said with the Rock Band. One of my first videos that I did on one of my old channels was with a SingStar mic.
Nice.
Yeah.
The very first episode of Orange Lounge Radio, if you go, I mean, it's out there if you know where to look. But like the sound quality is really shit. And it's not just because it was a dial-up friendly stream at the time, which is certainly a huge contributor, but Dark Sakura was using her headset that she used at work to take phone calls. Loki was on this little shitty $10 mic that seriously could have been 2 tin cans and a string. It was one of those like wire mics. It's like literally one wire. This is tiny little microphone. I mean, and that was like our guest mic, and it sounded like absolute shit. But you know what? We still had fun. That was the important part. And
you started from somewhere. That's the thing.
Yep.
Well, I would honestly like to say from the bottom of my heart and going with probably saying it for Hayden and John as well. We loved having you on tonight, and we really appreciate you coming on and kind of sharing your experiences with podcasting and why you do it every Sunday. And feel free, shameless plug at the end of the at the end of the show, because I really want more people to find your podcast and just be more in tune to it, like I started listening to it. So but yeah, if you want to go ahead and plug away, Rob. I mean, I don't really know if I don't really know our listener base, but but you can go for it.
it never hurts. I try to get the word out wherever I can. I'll scrawl it on a bathroom wall if I have to. No, I won't. But well, thank you so much, because you've been a very enthusiastic listener of the show in the past. You've had some great phone call contributions to the show and so forth, and the listener community really is what makes our show great. That whole thing where we talk about where every gamer has a voice and we want to hear what the people have to say. That's not like just a thing. Like, it is a thing, but like it really is what makes our show is the community and the live chatters and all that. So that enthusiasm is so appreciated. So thank you very much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's always fun to especially be like at the start of like a show that's a little bit newer and help see where it goes and all that. As far as my stuff, you can check out Orange Lounge Radio. It's in the iTunes store. It's also orangelaunge.radio.com. That's like a general gaming show. If you are a Warcraft player or an MMO player, or you just like shows that say fuck a lot, check out Horde House at hordehouse.com. And that's also in iTunes and Stitcher and all that fun stuff. And then, of course, I have to plug the Voice of Geeks Network. It's the network that both of these shows are on, along with lots of other great podcasts, more throughout 2013 and so forth. We're trying to grow this as well with articles, with participation, with games. It's kind of our new thing, and we're really in love with it, and it's accomplished great things in 2012 and hopefully more in 2013. It's the Voice of Geeks Network, vognetwork.com. I really encourage you guys to visit that.
All right, so that is the end of the podcast, and like always, John, do you want to take us out with your very, very cheesy tagline?
No, I don't want to, but I will. Well, guys, it looks like the servers are back up, but we'll see you next time. They're down for maintenance.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.